And joining us, as always, first of all, is Yoda.
Hi, George. And for those of you who didn't hear him, because apparently clicking the mute button doesn't actually unclick anything, I apologize for that. What George said was his usual intro of Welcome to the Last Movie Outpost for all things about streaming and movie news and everything cool about film. How'd I do?
Sounded just like him.
No, now I'm making him look good. I just did the fake
Son
out.
of a bitch.
It's an idiot. And with us as well.
I absolutely hate this job.
And with us as well is a retro Sean.
You know, right now on Comet Channel, they're having the Godzilla Memorial Day marathon, and I'm missing it because of this.
Well, your priorities are good.
Yeah. Well, no, I was going to say you can go if you want to.
Oh, you don't mind?
We won't be long here. We're talking about Stranger Things. It's quite good. The end. No. So, are we going to mention some of the news first of all within the week? Because I mean, there's been a few bits and pieces of the movie news. The big stuff is, and I'm going to get this done and out of the way, Sean. But there has been a lot of new content coming about Star Wars. Hooray!
Yay!
I'm about as excited as Sean is now about it.
I'm on top of the world. I feel as big as Willow watching all this.
Disavow.
Speaking of Willow.
We had a trailer for Willow as well, another Lucasfilm.
Blah, blah.
Again, it's just one of those things where there's somebody somewhere in Hollywood who they're eating member berries. That's the only thing I've been saying for the last week is, remember Willow? I remember Willow. Willow's cool. Remember Willow? I remember Willow.
Only thing I could think of when I was watching that trailer is like, Willow, it's been 35 years. Put on a new shirt.
And how popular was that anyway? Like other than you guys.
It was not popular when it first came out, and then it became kind of it gained a lot of traction on cable, HBO, that kind of thing, and then video rentals later.
I just think about the only people I know that's mentioned it when I brought it up that even knew what I was talking about since it came out are you guys and like one of my friends. Now, last year I think it got a big, special treatment Blu-ray restoration release because I almost bought it, but it was a little more than I was willing to pay for Willow. It was like $24.
Yeah, $1.50. That's too much.
I liked it. Hey, I liked it.
I like Willow.
Time.
I like Willow.
It's
a cute little 1980s fantasy movie. It's Lord of the Rings light. And Val Kilmer's great in it. I love the score from what's his name? The guy that passed away. He did
Boingo.
No, he hasn't passed away, unfortunately.
Oh.
I disavow
what
myself.
Did he ever do to you?
I find Danny Elfman's scores to just be kind of repetitive. That's all.
Not all of them. I mean, you got to give him like The Simpsons. It's completely different to anything else he's done.
There's one.
Is it? Bum, 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 bum. A lot of that. I mean, it's the same stuff.
You mean there's a beat to it, yes, which no other music
it's
has.
The same
obviously.
beat.
That was boy, you're coming out mean this morning, aren't you? What's going on?
I'm just angry at the world. So
I was talking about him, not you.
Oh, me? No,
Yeah,
that's because I have no idea what's going on because I got here late. That's probably what that is. If we'd have been on time, all three of us.
I was on time.
Yeah,
you
Sean.
were so
you
late.
were.
I left.
Well, you say you were, but then we can't prove you weren't because we were late.
Check your Skype call logs, both of you. You'll see
that. And then you apparently just like, well, I guess they're not here. I will leave and
go.
disappear and become completely unavailable, even if it's 5 seconds later.
I said, well, they behave that way every week, so why am I following the rules?
Usually I am pretty good, but today, like I say, just completely lost track of time. It's because it has been, I must admit, it has been a ridiculously busy weekend because we've had so much going on. Let's carry on with the news and then we'll get on to the busy weekend.
So Ray Liotta died.
Yes, that is. That was quite good.
F in the chat.
It was, I mean, he was fairly young as well, wasn't he? He wasn't
67.
particularly old.
He's like 2 years younger than you.
I can still pass for 25. I'm still with it. I'm still young and down with the hip kids.
I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. And now what I'm with isn't it anymore. And it'll happen to you too.
It is kind of a shame that... It is kind of a shame, obviously, that he's gone, but it is nice to then revisit some of these classic films.
All I can think about is you said it's kind of a shame. And I bet right now his family feels like they would agree. It's like, you know what, George, it's kind of a shame that our
when the
beloved
check
Ray...
comes through of his insurance and everything else, I'm sure they're going to be okay, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, he's dead.
You know, other than Field of Dreams and Goodfellas, though, what else is
No
The
Escape?
Muppets Most Wanted.
No Escape is one of my favorite action movies of the later 90s, which was a very bare time for older style. You remember that one? He gets dumped on and...
I will totally go for that as well. I remember No Escape with very fond affection.
I'll have to watch. I got to put it on the list, I guess. I must have missed that
God.
one.
How did you not see that?
Honestly, it doesn't even sound remotely familiar to me. It just...
Oh, dude, it's got some big name character actors in it too. Ernie Hudson's in it, and Lance Hendrickson, and
That's right.
You've sold it.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I mean, Eggy said he'd never seen Princess Bride. I mean, we all have those where they just, how do you not see some of these movies? It's like everybody's got that one. It's like, I just never saw it. Yeah.
I think last week we learned a lot about Eggy and wondered why he's on a movie website with us looking at his...
25 minutes through Young Frankenstein before he turned it off. I'm the same, speechless.
I like Young Frankenstein. I'm still on Blazing Saddles. This is my favorite, though.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, you only like it because it's so racist.
Absolutely. It's the problem. Not only racist, but you also have Dom DeLuise yelling at a bunch of gay guys, listen up, faggots!
Yeah. Try and pivot or step. We also had the trailers for Mission Impossible Part 1 and then Thor Love and Thunder, the full trailer. Mission Impossible, I'm up for. I'm quite looking forward to that. Tom Cruise does do a good job. I think a few people have said with the whole Top Gun Maverick that he is kind of like the last action hero, really, because he is doing his own stunts. And I know the Critical Drinker reviewed Top Gun Maverick, and he said everything felt real because it was real. You know, there's very little green screen going on there.
Did either of you guys see it yet?
No.
I mean, do you want me to talk about it at all?
No.
Okay.
I don't mind. I mean, I'm not got like a nostalgic feel for seeing it because I don't really remember Top Gun particularly well. You know, it was just kind of one of those films I watched and it was all right.
There's not a lot to the original Top Gun, really. It's really not. It's kind of a love story that's kind of... It's a chick flick. It's other than like some of the...
It's a gay chick flick.
It kind of is.
Yeah. Top Gun is, on its surface, it's a perfectly serviceable action movie that has a guy, you know, crazy maverick, doesn't follow the rules, has to learn a lesson, is the hero at the end. Yeah, it's great for what it is. It's a lot of fun. Top Gun Maverick is like, I compare it to Terminator 2. It's basically the same movie, but at least the beats are the same, but they ratchet it up in all the right places. Better special.
Everything's up to 11.
Would you call it a Danny Elfman of sequels?
I don't even know what that means exactly.
It means all of his George, you know where I'm going. You know where I was.
I don't think anybody knows where you're going with those glasses.
I kind of understand what you're saying. That you hate Danny Elfman.
You wish he was dead.
Yeah. you wish he got gonorrhea and died.
I disavowed. And I said syphilis. Thank you, not gonorrhea. Get it right. Be accurate. Yeah. I think like Terminator 2 is essentially the same movie as Terminator, but updated and in special effects, and added some extra plot elements to up the stakes, and added some more emotion into it that works. That's what Maverick is.
I have a question. Did they bring Val Kilmer back?
They did.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Other than just that picture.
Really well.
Does he look? Does he look bad?
He doesn't look great. They did the best they could, and I know with the throat cancer. I mean, I think did he have like his jaw removed? It's clear that his teeth are not real or something.
Wow,
I didn't know that.
Well, with the throat cancer, he's had. He definitely does not look like himself, and it's sad to see. But there was a real. I mean, people say Tom Cruise can't act. And I think there's some merit to that, but
I agree with that. Yeah.
He did a phenomenal job in this movie because I think he wasn't acting as much. I think there was some real heartfelt moments that he was able to convey with him and Kilmer. I think that it was tough for him to see Kilmer like that and to have that moment. What he knew as Iceman, and this guy that that they had kind of had a friendly rivalry, I would say, in the 80s as far as, male action pretty boy stars, right? And
did they?
A little bit. I mean, Kilmer had, a lot of, like he did The Willow, where he's the big swashbuckling guy, and Cruise did Legend, and, they were both in Top Gun. He did The Saint. He did, there was I wouldn't say it was overt like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, but there was kind of a similarity to those two guys.
Was it anything like the real fight between Vin Diesel and The Rock?
No, because I think they genuinely liked each other.
Had mutual respect.
So you guys, which ones you like better, Willow or Legend?
Willow.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Willow as well. For me, unfortunately, I think Legend is it's a bit too OTT.
It is a close call because you do have Mia. The chick from.
She's so hot in that.
Ferris
Mia
Bueller.
Sarah.
Mia Sarah.
Thank you. Yes, she is very nice.
Yeah, that gives it at least 2 stars just right there. So
I do not like the Ridley. Once again, I do not like Ridley Scott's original ending for that movie. I don't like it.
That I can't remember.
I like the theatrical ending better.
Is that where it turns out Tom Cruise is a replicant?
Yeah, it turns out he's actually Satan.
Oh wait, that's real life.
Yeah, no, in the original, it's a happy they're in love, movie ends. Ridley Scott, it's like, oh well, we're too different, and I just went all through this stuff because I'm a simp, and I'm actually not even going. I'm not even going to get a date. So see ya. I'm going to go out and hump goats or whatever. Stupid.
A guy. I think it was. I don't know who it was. Everything good about that one channel that's kind of like the antithesis of everything wrong with this movie, movie. And real optimistic channel. And I enjoy listening to him because he has some pretty good insight movies. But he mentioned, the Scott brothers. And of course, we talk about Top Gun. That's the one he was doing. And then Top Gun was directed by Tony Scott. And the Maverick, of course, was dedicated to him.
Who famously committed suicide like a simp.
But he said, Ridley Scott may have a few movies in his repertoire that are classics. The Alien, right? Gladiator, a couple of others. Blade Runner. But he says Ridley Scott also has a lot of clunkers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He says, you can't really name a Tony Scott movie that you just won't sit down and enjoy.
They're great. Domino is probably his only real misstep, I think.
Maybe.
And even it's entertaining.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't really remember Domino, but I remember enjoying it when I watched it.
What's that one he did with, didn't he do one with Christian Slater? It's kind of like
True Romance.
True Romance. Was that him?
That's a masterpiece,
Yeah, it's great.
And I think he did Days of Thunder, which I find to be, it's a Top Gun clone. It's Top Gun on NASCAR. I don't care. You got Robert Duvall. It's great. I love it.
See, again, that's another movie that just missed me by. Days of Thunder. I have seen it, but I couldn't tell you a thing about it. It's because I'm probably not into NASCAR.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Not that I think it's a bad movie. It's about stuff that I don't care at all about.
I don't care. I don't give 2 shits about NASCAR, but I love that. It's like I don't really give 2 shits about boxing, but I love Rocky.
Well, I don't find it compelling at all, though. I don't know.
It's fun. It's a by the numbers Top Gun clone, and I like Top Gun, so I guess it works for me.
There's not a single rape scene in it.
Right,
well, there is that one
talking
where
about that.
Tom Cruise
we're trying to
Robert
behave
Duvall
this week.
Get a little.
Michael Rooker. He
No.
relives his scene
that cop rapes Tom Cruise right there on the bus.
No. I think you probably you must have downloaded Gaze of Thunder. Hey-o. The other trailer that we had this week was Thor: Love and Thunder.
Speaking of rape,
I am not bothered with this at all. I will watch it, but I am just, it can wait till streaming and then I'll watch it and that's it.
I mean, what is it? Sex in Asgard, like Sex in the City. I mean, what do we watch? This is not Thor anymore. How many times do we have to watch him rediscover himself?
Yeah, he did it in the first one, and then the second one, and then and the last one as well. So somebody said that chances are he's probably not going to be in it a lot, and it's going to be mostly Natalie Portman with.
I think that's true. Yeah. Because he's probably tired of playing that role anyway. Everybody else is out of their Marvel movie contract now, and
I think he likes it since Taika Waititi took over, and he can, play comedy with it now. That he doesn't have to be the stoic Thunder God anymore.
And he's a fellow Oz as well. So, close. I was going to say they're not, are they? Because he's he's a Kiwi.
You don't know the difference?
Well,
you are so racist.
Oh yeah, totally. When it comes to that side of the world, who cares? The other trailer that did come out, which I did the review on, and I thought actually looked very interesting, was the new Elvis biopic by Baz Luhrmann.
I haven't seen that.
That looks quite good. I mean, Elvis, again, is one of those people that obviously I've heard of. I can't say I'm a massive fan, but I obviously know his songs. But it looks like...
Oh, he was a singer?
Yeah.
When he wasn't shooting the TV, yeah.
He was actually pretty cool. You read about his life, like he was pretty based,
But
like one of my friends knew, older guy, and he didn't know Elvis, but he was in I forget where it was at, maybe Tennessee. It was in a gun store, and Elvis walked in and just bought everybody in there a new gun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we're all clear on this, he's dead. Okay, he's still dead. It's not on a UFO.
He's kidnapped by aliens. Everybody knows that.
He's freaking dead.
Allegedly.
He just went home. Tommy Lee Jones said that in Men in Black, didn't he?
He went home.
He just went home.
He is not dead.
80 million subscribers to the National Choir can't be wrong.
Sure. Every one of them a Joe Biden voter. Weird.
Disavow. Biden was completely legitimately elected.
The other great trailer. We're not talking about.
Wait. Before you go.
The most secure election of our lifetime. Completely legitimate.
Yes. Right. Thank you, YouTube. Before you go on that, Elvis, I love Baz Luhrmann. I'm not a big fan of Moulin Rouge, but I loved Australia. So I'm kind of like, we'll see.
You're gay, aren't you?
I really liked both Romeo and Juliet and Moulin Rouge.
Wait a minute. Did he do the 90s William Shakespeare?
With Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes?
You know what? That movie is kind of... I still find that movie... Now, I'm not going to say that I love it or anything, but I still find it kind of interesting, a lot of the updated concepts of that movie. It's
good. I like it. I think it's well done. It's beautifully edited and cut to the music and stuff. I really, really like that. So I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do with Elvis.
Let me ask you this though: would Claire Danes be your casting choice for the most entrancing Juliet?
Back in the day, she was all right.
She was very much the girl next door, which was quite nice.
No. She is plain and pretty much borderline ugly.
Borderline.
I thought
Sean's got a chart somewhere, and it's like, I don't know, she's borderline.
Well, I'm saying that I wouldn't say no to her, but I wouldn't pick her over any other female cast member of my so-called life, particularly the blonde.
I don't know. I thought she was all right in it.
Oh, you would. You're English, so a woman that looks slightly better than a toad would be like, oi, mate, she's very beautiful.
If a tree talked to me nicely, I'd want to marry it.
George, excuse me, but who's coming out of this angry? I don't think it's you. I think it might be Sean.
It's because you said Elvis. Because you said Elvis was dead.
He is dead.
Allegedly.
Died out of a toilet.
That's how I want to go. Die in the toilet with a hamburger in your hands.
The king died on the throne, literally.
That's right.
I've always thought that was very funny.
The other trailer that we had, which I think everybody's looking forward to, is True Lies, the TV series.
I can't wait.
Well, that's a thing. Moving on.
Again, Amber Heard looks like she's not in Aquaman 2 anymore, which is good news.
That's sad.
I mean, oh dear. I mean,
Are they going to
understand.
recast her and reshoot, or are they just cutting her out completely? Or can they? I mean, Mera is a pretty important part of Aquaman lore, so I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Probably just recast her as obviously with a male black character. Some guy who's playing Doctor Who.
Yeah, the gay Doctor Who guy.
Transgender man.
Yeah, Laverne Cox.
By the way, I just want to point out that Eggy in the chat agrees with me that Claire Danes is a dog. So, argument settled.
I've missed all the chat there.
I'm not saying she's like amazing or anything. I just think you're.
You're
calling me harsh on Danny Elfman. I'm like, oh, goddamn.
I'm just saying, if you're going to cast somebody for Juliet, which is supposed to be, beautiful, Claire Danes,
I think she's the cute girl next door in it. She's just
it's
sort
not
of
good. No, it's not good enough. You're going to risk your entire family disowning you, get kicked out of the city, go into a death duel. Here's all I want to say, chat. Which one would you have? Kate Beckinsale, Claire Danes. That's all I'm going to say.
Don't know, it'd be close.
We're not friends anymore if you think that Claire Danes is comparable to Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale or Beckinsdale?
Blake Lively would be a good replacement for Amber Turd, Iggy's saying. He's so right because I often get those. I used to get those confused until this trial. I really did.
Anyway, so like I say, he's like, oh wait, that's not Amber Heard? Oh right, okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna go and check my bed and see which one it was. No, there's no shit in there. So it was Blake Lively.
The best Amber Heard movie was Drive Angry with Nicolas Cage. That's a great movie.
Yeah. And then the other little bit of news that I was just going to mention basically I was going to come back to the fact of having a busy weekend because Disney decided to release 2 episodes of Obi-Wan on Friday. Stranger Things came out on Friday, and Top Gun Maverick came out on sort of this week as well. So for sort of the movie community, it's been quite the weekend. And I know, actually, I've got to say, I'm quite exhausted because Friday I had to work for the day. So I managed to watch episode Obi-Wan and then get a little bit of a write-up done up and then get home, watch the second episode and get up on the site. And I have just literally finished binge watching Stranger Things 4. And that's what we're going to talk about now.
Yeah. I binge watched all day Friday for Stranger Things 4. Then I was all day yesterday to get part 2 of our Picard discussion out. Completely skipped the news this week, and now I'm here on this thing. So
you should have said about the news because I could have done that.
You know what? I just got.
It needs to go back to the international office.
He's jealous because you did so well. You stole his thunder, and he's like, I'll just cancel it before I let him fill in again.
You're absolutely correct, Sean. Let's move on.
And so it's been a busy old weekend, and like I say, I've literally just finished Stranger Things 4. We will say from this point in, if you haven't seen it, spoilers. So no spoilers for episode 7. Ugh, he's on it right now. Don't
worry. There's nothing to spoil because to spoil it, it doesn't wrap up. We got to wait till July to get the last 2 episodes.
It doesn't wrap up, but it does tie a lot of things together that I think worked. I think so far.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, there's nothing.
I must admit, I watched the first 2 episodes, I think, on Friday evening, and I was very into it and thinking this is very good and getting very... By last night, we watched up to episode 5, I think it was, and I must admit, I was tired, and I kept looking at the last episode and thinking, it's an hour and 40 minutes long. And I get...
All of them was like an hour 15. They were all pretty close to feature film length, yeah.
But I mean, when you think
it needed some editing. I honestly, it definitely needs some editing. They could have done a lot of this in a lot less time. But I agree with you, George. I think the first 2 episodes were really, really good. It was engaging. It was compelling. It kept me going. It dragged a bit. The whole thing with 11 in the in the tank trying to rediscover that was like putting her aside for a long time to get her powers back. Yeah. Which I appreciate that it wasn't like, oh, we'll just give you this, needle. Now your powers are back. I mean, it like took some time, but it took too much. Could have done that in one episode, I think.
And also, I've got to say, the whole Joyce in Russia thing was just, I kind of get her in the first couple of seasons that, when Will's missing in the first season and she's sort of going slightly crazy because she thinks she's seeing the lights and everything else. She was so brilliant there and you could totally believe her. But I was at one point, I was thinking, right, so this housewife from Middle America, wherever it is now going to break into a Russian prison to rescue her like previous boyfriend with this other mad dude. And it was just kind of, that's really stretching it a little bit now for me.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things the series has suffered from is this weird, problem where and of course they got to up the odds or whatever season, but the people become more like the things they can accomplish, and suddenly their knowledge and skill base has grown out of proportion to the actual things they did in the previous seasons, right?
Yeah. And
the idea that we're going to get in this plane, we're going to crash it within walking distance of the prison, that's pretty absurd. At first that they're even going to survive. But that was pretty absurd. And then Condor, out of all it could have been done better. That could have been done better.
I can kind of believe them breaking into the prison, but then having an escape route and everything else sorted out was just kind of, a Russian prison. I can't imagine if I went to a Russian prison and tried to con my way in and out of there, I would last particularly very long.
Well, never mind that there's snow everywhere and the track.
Let's go through it a little bit before, because for people who haven't seen it. So basically, if at the end of last season, I believe this wasn't a surprise. I think we knew that Hopper was in Russia.
Yeah, they spoiled it with one of the
stingers. Yeah, there was a stinger.
Right, there was a stinger. So he's in a Russian prison, and Joyce, he somehow is managed to smuggle out a Russian doll that has like this message on it that says he's alive. Yeah. If you pay $40,000, we'll get him out of prison for you.
Just to point out, even though she's moved to the other side of the country,
California, which he would have no idea that.
Well, let's assume that post office forwarding worked.
Yeah, for once.
It's rock solid.
The box turned up and it said Joyce, and the postal service went, "Oh, Joyce, yeah, no, we know where she is."
Yeah. Change of address always works. So let's just assume that. Okay, fine. They get it to her, and then, so she manages to get the 40 grand somehow, because she's an encyclopedia salesman, so they're rolling in money.
No. That money is left over from Hopper's will or something. They mentioned that in the series.
Did they? Okay, maybe I missed that.
He left an insurance policy that paid out to take care of 11 because that's his daughter.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's what they went to the bank and got it from. So that was explained.
So the reason why he's able to do this because a Russian prison guard has taken some pity and he likes to make money this way, and he works with this guy named Yuri. Get the 40,000. He set up an escape plan for him to get out, and then Yuri will pick him up and then fly him back to
Alaska.
Joyce. Yeah, to Alaska. If that had been the extent of it, I kind of would have been fine with it. If they had just done that plan, and then the rest of the season was Hopper figuring out how to, which I think will be the rest of the season since it's split in two, right? But since the first half of the season is longer than the rest of the seasons, full seasons, because the episodes are so long, they had this where Yuri betrayed them, and so he tries to kidnap Joyce and this dude from last season.
I mean, the guy smuggles. I was going to say the guy smuggles peanut butter, but also has access to Rehypnol as well.
Yeah, and so it becomes a big convoluted mess of a deal, and I'm like going, okay, this has just got, and it's clear that it's just all filler to get to the end of the season. I was really checked out of that whole story.
It strains your ability to
yeah
to suspend disbelief. It did mine.
And again, seems as each episode was longer than Batman, it was kind of, like I say, you could have tied this up much more neatly and edited out quite a lot of this and still had a decent story throughout it that you could have been quite engaged with. And like I say, that last episode at an hour 40, it's 100 minutes long. That is long. That is basically a movie that you're watching in just that one last episode. And there was so much of that could have been cut out. I thought the whole, I'm not ruining anything too much, but the whole monologue at the end was just kind of, all I kept thinking of was, what's his name? Incredible. Was it Mr. Incredible? And no, from The Incredibles, and just sort of going, started monologuing. And it was just, it really started.
What's the worst part about it is that you're not watching like what's happening now. You're watching something that happened before the show even started, chronologically, right? It's just a memory. So there's no stakes for 11 because she's just reliving a memory.
Yeah. But it was about her getting her powers back, but it could have been just done.
Well, the thing that it wasn't that Elle was in danger is they catch you. The series makes you believe that she murdered everybody in the place. So what you're really on the edge of your seat to find out is whether she's a murderer or not. And then we find out that, find out the truth. Yeah. Okay. But, spoilers. We found out it's the guy, it's the first psychic kid that was in there.
Yeah. I mean, like this guy shows up the first time and it's like, he's like friendly. I'm like, you can kind of tell by the actor they cast and everything. It's like, this guy's got evil written all over.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
They could have cast Mr. Burns, and it would have been less obvious.
Yeah,
like a Sean Bean moment, really, wasn't it?
Again, that was kind of quite obvious who he was.
Sean, I'm getting a lot of requests to remove your glasses. People are getting
just to
freaked
show
out.
that you've got eyes.
Well, they should know that Sean plays by his own rules.
There you go. I've done what I can, guys. Sorry.
Hardcore.
I guess
he won't chuck off his 80s. No, put it back on.
Rules are meant to be broken.
They covered so much of my face, I thought it would be an improvement.
We're not arguing.
I know, that's why I'm.
So like I say, it was for me. It was far too long. Last night when I think actually we got to the penultimate episode at the end of last night, and I just kept looking and thinking an hour and a half. And like I say, there are some movies that I kind of fancy watching that are an hour and 40 minutes. And I just think I can't be bothered to sit through that. But I literally got through it just for today, and I kind of wish actually Netflix had done a one episode a week, as opposed to just them binge watching it, or we had done this next week. That would have made more sense.
if we weren't in a rush to get it done so we could talk about it today, maybe we could have all spaced it out a little bit.
Maybe.
I was exhausted on Friday trying to watch it all, trying to get it done because I knew I was going to do other things Saturday. So I mean, it was.
I was. I loved the first two. The franchise, I loved it, but I find myself, not so much enraptured by it anymore.
I think this is a better. I mean, it's too long. It needs some trimming. But I will say, I think this is a better season than the best season since the first one.
You think so?
I loved the third season. I thought the third season was.
That's fair. I liked it creating a larger picture and tying all the seasons together in a way. And I liked that Elle smashed that girl with the skate.
I did too. Great. Yeah, I was like, what's the problem?
Elle gets picked on so much. I mean, in the later episodes, she's getting picked on as well. And that girl getting I was just kind of like, let her go. And I wanted Elle to turn around and say, anybody else want some?
Yeah.
That was beautiful. That was kind of weird though, because she did that and then that kind of just ended that storyline.
Yeah, we never know what happened with them. But maybe they'll come back and
I was concerned about the poor girl with the broken nose.
It was just a foreshadow to make you where she gets bullied by the psychic kid.
I get it. Yeah. That was just saying, oh, maybe she is a murderer. because she can't control herself. It's like she just had a normal teenage moment where
like every day in the 1980s for me.
Yeah,
smashing somebody's nose with a
people.
Bullied,
any kid that grew up from the 50s through the 90s, until everything became cushioned and everybody got wrapped in bubble wrap and everything else, so nobody could say anything mean to anybody anymore.
Wait a minute,
no idea.
To check are we okay? Because my extra screen shows us buffering and froze, so I don't know.
No, mine's all right.
No,
is it all right?
It's okay. It did freeze for a second, but it should be fine now.
Must just be on my end then. Okay.
We don't want to talk about your end. And right, also something else to mention. This is completely at random, but how ugly now is Wolf Bloodhard?
Oh God, he's hideous. It's like, dude, I'm sorry, but
he was quite cute in the earlier episodes, and now that he's
pedo alert.
It's funny. I remember like in the very first season, sometimes I would have a little trouble telling Will and what's his Finn Wolfhard's character. I can't even remember.
Yeah,
I'd have trouble telling them apart. And now it's like no problems telling them apart.
I tell you, I'm not
Will
the only.
Will haircut as well.
I know. Let me ask you guys this: I can't be the only one that sees that they obviously are making Mike gay.
Yes.
Right? It's so blatant. There's zero surprise that Mike is going to be. He's.
Do you reckon that's why they shaved Eleven's hair again? Then.
I don't. What?
Make her look like a boy.
Now, did they deep fake her as a younger self? Is that what was going on there? There were times I wasn't sure if it was a different actor or if it was. Like sometimes it was like, man, it looks like she did back then. Yeah. And then other times it's like, not so much. And I was like, did they just get a look-alike actress or did they deep fake her?
They deep faked her for sure.
It's very well done.
But speaking of George pedophilia, Millie Bobby Brown is now over 18. And I'm just saying.
Disavow.
If there's grass on the pitch. You obviously have known that, and that's good. Let's just move on.
But yeah, Mike is obviously they're setting him up to be gay, so it's becoming very woke, I think.
Now, Mike is Finn Wolfhard.
I meant
Will. You're talking about Will. Yeah, I think Will is. Yeah. Well, he went to the upside down, and it turned him gay.
Yeah, flipped him. He got raped. He got fast ass goblined by one of those slugs in the upside down. Which brings me to a point of
it doesn't.
A movie pitch I want to make.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bring us to anything. Let's talk about Nancy's hair and outfits. I'm always completely gutted that. I mean, I like what's she called, Natalia Dyer. I think she's lovely, but her hair and her outfits are just horrendous.
I thought she looked pretty good in it.
It's 280s.
Well, that's what I like about it, is that I get to forget this hell world that we live in now, George. Just for a few hours.
Reality, Sean. Back to reality.
A few hours,
everything sucks. Everything's broke.
I get to leave this hellscape and forget the shit that we have to live in, and I get to go back to the 1980s where I wish I was at again. And I go, oh, that was so great. I would take any of that again if it was not living in this fucking dystopia that we created.
I was thinking about that, because we're all nostalgic about the 80s. Like, I had to think. So let me tell you about the 80s. The 80s was not a decade of looking back. I mean, there was a little bit with Vietnam and that kind of stuff, but it was not a decade drenched in nostalgia. It was a decade about looking forward.
I don't know. There was a lot of
everybody in the 80s was sitting there going, this is the best decade ever. In 20 years from now,
wasn't so much
looking
that.
back and loving it.
Everybody was trying something new. Every year was different fashion. Every year they were trying different things with pop music. I mean, it changed constantly. We were trying new things and discarding stuff. Fads were like, there were more fads in the 80s than I think any other decade. All the new sci-fi, they were trying different things in movies. It was all about trying something new, doing something new. And looking forward and optimism and we're the best. I mean, there was just a lot more. Now we're so miserable, and I think it's similar to the 70s because the 70s was a miserable fucking decade. If anybody remembers,
I'm not miserable. I'm happy all the time. I'm a cheerful soul.
You never leave the house.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a smile on my face when I cry into a pillow every night.
I was happy the other day. The kids next door wanted a water fight, and I had hours of fun boiling the kettle.
But my point
Their
is,
little
it's like,
screams of pleasure was just entrancing to the ears.
think about, there was like Happy Days, there was like American Graffiti, there was a lot of that 50s nostalgia, Grease, there was a lot of that 50s nostalgia going back went in the 70s, because everybody was miserable in the 70s. They were looking back to a happier time. The 80s was that happier time, and now we're all looking back to the 80s.
There was some 50s nostalgia in the 80s too. It's all over.
A little bit, but that was more of a holdover from the 70s, I think.
It was more of a fad.
Yeah, it was. And even then, when they did 50s nostalgia, it's like, but we're going to introduce a time-traveling DeLorean into it.
AIDS was not invented in the 80s, Eggy. It was invented in the 70s by this gay steward who flew all over the place spreading it like Santa Claus, leaving the kind of toys that you don't want to get for Christmas.
I always remember Ricky Gervais saying about how AIDS was originally in monkeys. And then the first guy who got it is kind of, well, if you got it, you must have either eaten the monkey or had sex with it. I ate it. Yeah. I was really hungry, so I ate the monkey. It's definitely the first one.
Speaking of, are we going to touch on that, by the way, before we close out today? We're going to talk about Ricky Gervais' special.
Yes, we can do.
We'll save it to the end.
Yeah.
All right. So Stranger Things. We got half of the team is in California because Joyce moved them out there, right? You got Hopper in Russia, and then you got the rest of them still in Hawkins.
Yeah.
The one kid, Lucas, he's on the basketball team, which I thought, the black kid on the basketball team, a little on the nose, guys.
Yeah, that's not.
I bet he likes watermelon too and grape soda.
Come on, guys. You're always bitching about stereotypes. But they have this one kid. They've introduced this new kid who runs this D&D club that they're all on.
Yeah.
And they have a really neat thing, I think, in the first episode with the Lucas winning the basketball game intercut with the kids winning the D&D.
Yeah.
That was one of the best sequences.
That
of
was
the whole
great
season. Yeah.
Speaking of the new kid that they introduced, do you think that they introduced too many new characters in this season?
I thought it was okay.
Just him, and really just
him and the long-haired kid in California that smokes all the weed,
and the Russian prison guard, who's obviously a big part of the going.
But also the girl who's the bully, and then also
but she's
captain of the basketball team.
She was in and out pretty quick. And then anybody else they introduced got killed horribly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's something to mention. I mean, both myself and Sean are quite into our horror and stuff, and I've seen some stuff which is pretty heavy. But I mean, some of this stuff was, if I think it's been quite, I don't want to say tame up till season 3. If I had like a teenage kid or whatever, I'd have let them watch that. But this last season, I don't think I would have done. It was pretty scary.
The crumbling, twisting limbs thing has been kind of done to death in all these possession movies, that they do. The Possession of Emily Rose, all that kind of stuff. So I don't think it has the same shock value that it might have had 10 years ago. But
I mean, it's freaky, but it's not even original.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just thought it was quite heavy in
the
certain
eyes exploding was the worst for me than the limbs cracking open and the jaw snap. It was the eyes gouged.
Well, not just that, but also what's his name? The whole fight sequence in the Russian prison, again, pretty brutal. At the end,
with the Demogorgon, or with
with the Demogorgon.
Oh yeah, no, that was pretty gory for Stranger.
It literally eats a man's face off.
Well, what do you expect it to do? I mean, you're getting a payoff for like 3 seasons of like build up. You know what I mean? No, for real. These things they got to hype them more every time.
No, but what I mean is like I say that I think that it's been. I don't want to say tame because it's not been tame up till now. It has still had its scary moments, but I just think they really did amp it up a lot in this last series. And I think, like I say, if you had kids who had grown up watching the others, and then I don't know if I'd have let them watch this one.
Well, this one is trying to do. It clearly is a spiritual successor, I guess, to Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah, and that you got a Freddy Krueger-esque
In more
demon
ways
or whatever
than
it is. Yeah. Yeah, in more ways than one, yeah. I guess it is played by Robert Englund when he's in the makeup.
Because it
No.
do you know,
Really? No. It's the creepy, nurse dude that turns
No,
out
I
to
know
be
that's who it is, but I mean, I think
Victor Creel. No, Victor Creel is England. I don't think he plays the
Victor Creel is. Oh, maybe I missed it. Maybe I.
Do you know what? I didn't know that Robert Englund was in it. We may have mentioned it, and I completely forgot.
Yeah. Dude, he's in it. Like, you see his whole face.
No. What I mean is I forgot. And then when I'm looking at him, I'm sort of like, I recognise that voice ever so slightly. Then when he turned around, I was like, no way! Like, it's Robert Englund. I was just really nice, happy surprise.
That's who. Okay, I was getting exhausted probably by that time. So
probably, yeah.
But so you've got this thing that is getting into people's heads, and then they see visions, and then I think within 24 hours they get killed. So you got a little bit of Ring there, a little bit,
yeah.
And this one girl, this cheerleader, who's starting to see these, and she meets up with the guy that runs the D&D thing,
who's also like a metalhead.
Yeah. But he's a nice guy. I mean, he's not a bad guy or anything.
He's a good kid. He's a good kid.
And he takes her to his trailer. He's really not trying to get with her or anything. He's just being nice, and they're just striking.
He's trying to genuinely help her, isn't he?
Yeah. And then she floats, and the whole thing happens to her, and everybody thinks he did it, so he's on the run, and they're trying to save him. And then this girl's boyfriend, who is like the captain of the basketball team, he basically, and understandably to a certain extent, freaks out. I'm kind of on the fence with him. It's like, is he going to be just a completely creepy dude, or is he going to turn into a Steve? I don't know.
Yeah,
could go either way.
I think he's going to turn into a major villain somehow. Like, he'll be twisted by the.
Yeah, or he could, like Steve, was kind of the bad guy, kind of the jock. You didn't like him until the very end when he became the good guy that he's been a major part of the show ever since.
Yeah.
It could go that way. I'm rooting for it to go that way.
I kind of thought, I have a kind of a feeling they might kill Steve off by the end of the series.
No, I hope not.
Me too, but I don't know. It needs somebody in the cast to die, because we know they're just about plot armored, right?
Funny enough, I mean, they've got the whole thing with Sadie Sink's character Max, and again, I kept thinking, will they kill her off? Or
they should have. They should.
And again, it is kind of.
They did a good job making me think so. I'll give them that.
She's so unlikable. Anyway, her character's so unlikable.
The funny thing is I'm not a massive fan of her character, but the whole bit where she reads the letter to Billy and stuff.
Yeah, it makes you sad.
No, she's a great actress. She did a really good job. And I kept thinking, no, don't kill her off, because she is doing quite a good job. And then they kind of wussed out of that. And it's kind of a shame that if they had done a Game of Thrones on it, it would have really made sort of people go, whoa, and
I can understand why they you needed something. Like it so far the thing has been unstoppable, and now we find that it can be stopped. And that was important at that point of the, because if she just got killed, it's like, well, everybody's doomed. I mean, why would you, there's they can't find a way to stop this thing. And they didn't stop it. They just finally found a way to defend themselves a little bit, which is good. And I was okay with it. And it gives her a chance to maybe figure out that she's being a little shit and start talking to people, which would be great for her arc. So a lot of this is kind of hard to say because we're only through half the season, a really long season. But
I try to think how long those last 2 episodes are going to be.
Oh, they're
4 hours apiece.
I'd say they'll be an hour 40 each or something.
But
they're probably still shooting them. That's why they didn't release them.
I honestly, I did not see that the son of this guy back in, I guess it was the 50s.
Yeah, 50s.
Yeah.
And he had kind of those powers, and then he went to the, whatever you call it, the Matthew Modine torture emporium
chamber.
And,
yeah.
And then was the number one. He was the first one, and then he ends up being the Thing. the thing that's causing all the problems. It's like it's and it was because of 11. I'm like, going, okay. Right, well,
so bringing
well.
that up as well. How did Matthew Modine survive? Because in the first one, I'm pretty sure he got ripped apart by a demidog or whatever it's called, demigorgon.
Twin brother.
I can't remember exactly.
You reckon?
No, he's got scars on his face.
It's my evil twin.
How is he alive? I don't know. Actually, he'd probably be the good twin.
Technology, or
why even bring him back too? I mean that.
I didn't like that at all because it made Paul. You mentioned it's like they finally redeemed Paul Reiser from Aliens.
Yeah.
You know, It's
and
like, they just shit. I remember when they brought up Matthew Modine, that's the first thing I thought of was you saying that. It's like, oh, they just screwed it.
Yeah.
Sean's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I was pretty pissed at that betrayal too. I was like, motherfuckers.
Because again, when Paul Reiser comes back into it, you kind of wonder where it's going to go. But he is.
He's not really a bad guy, though.
It's more nuanced than that. But still, he knew he should have known. But I don't know. I mean, everything seems to be going to plan. Mm-hmm. We'll see what she does now that
everything is going according to plan.
If she's fully recharged, she'll just blow up the entire center.
It's really weird that I don't know if they intended it this way too, but it shows you that. So the Matthew Modine was like her worst enemy, right? Nightmare. And now she wants her powers back so bad she's willing to work again with him. It's like, boy, what kind of power hungry little twerp is it? She turns out to be.
They got a lot to unpack there.
Because the way I see it is like, so if I get my powers back, I can rip people in half again. Hey, Papa, let's do this.
I'll say that. That's what I was thinking. It's like if you took like 4 or at least 4 episodes of her sitting in the tank, going through all these memories. It's like you should have done it in 1 or 2 episodes and then do the other 2 episodes of her dealing with Modine and Owens or whatever his name is, the Paul Reiser guy, and getting that conflict figured out.
Yeah.
And resolving it somehow. But instead it's
but I mean, funny enough, obviously we find out, again, we're going into spoilers here, but we find out that number one, he's got this chip in his neck, which obviously blocks his powers. So whether Matthew Modine has already implanted that in 11, well, he can't do that, I suppose, because then she wouldn't be able to use her powers, would she?
Well, she escaped in season 1 before they got,
No, I just mean when he brings her back this time. But he's trying to make her. He's trying to make her use her power, so if she's got this chip, it ain't going to work. So he doesn't know whether he succeeded or not.
Yeah, but you get the feeling they're trying to save their ass from the end of the world now more than they are, a weapon to defeat the commies kind of thing, Oh,
and you got this whole other thing of this general who's basically, like Thunderbolt Ross going after the Hulk. He's trying to go after 11. And
I know that Joyce has been through a lot, but she's going to be pretty mad when she gets back home.
Why would she be mad? She's the one who took off the rush like an idiot.
That house is pretty torn up, though. We gotta fix it before Mom comes home, like an old 80s trope,
Just sticking tape over there and painting over the top.
At the end of the series, 11 gets her powers back and comes back and does the,
reverse.
My science, weird
like
science.
in X-Men, they did that.
Bullet holes get filled,
Yeah, that wouldn't be surprising. So. We've got to wait now till July, till the last 2 episodes. And as I recall, I remember the Duffer brothers saying that they had planned 5 seasons.
Yeah, this is not the last season. It's the end of this season.
Yeah, they sort of what is going to be coming out in July is all they planned, with possibly some spin-offs. So wait,
but I thought 5 seasons though, right?
Well, it'll be 5. The college years.
No, the 2 that's coming out are not season 5. They are the rest of season 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is season 4 part 1. We got season 4 part 2.
Really? I thought season. Oh God.
No, they're pulling a Walking Dead on us.
Or Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
some of that I think is pandemic related, because Saul wasn't supposed to do that either, but.
Right, guys, if you are going to do that, can you just go back to the 50-minute episodes? It's not hard. You can tell a story in 50 minutes.
Listen, in a month, you'll be fine with watching 2 feature-length film episodes. Don't worry about it. I'm
already not looking forward to it. Like I say, I miss the 90-minute movies. And so from the fact that, there are movies which are, I put some on my watch list and I've seen how long they are, and I just think, oh, can I be bothered with it? And I know it sounds horrible, but
George Lucas. I can't be bothered to watch 2 feature-length episodes. Also, George Lucas, I watched 1,000 movies in a year.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
That's probably what it is. That probably why I'm bored of it. Well, I mean, the annoying thing is I have been watching, and I've said this before, but I've been watching Inside Number 9 on UK TV. Now, they are just an anthology of dark comic humor and horror and all kinds of stuff. Within a 30-minute space, I have seen stories which are much more compelling than a 3-hour-long Hollywood movie.
Some people live a whole lifetime in a minute, George.
Exactly.
Others take an hour and 40 minutes.
But it's like I say, it does bother me that when I'm, with certain things that there are. I can't remember what I was going to say now. Annoying Eggy. Oh, that's right. Oh, we're back now, I think. I was going to annoy Eggy because I put on the first.
Sorry, everyone. Don't know what's going on. We're having internet issues.
Oh, you are. Apparently, we're still.
Yeah.
But I've watched the first couple of episodes. I think of the first episode of The Sopranos, didn't capture me at all. And I looked at it and I thought, this is 6 seasons, and I just thought, I can't be bothered. Not if it's not capturing me in the first. And there's a few TV series now which have had several seasons, and I kind of fancy watching them, but I don't want to commit myself to something if it's just going to be that long and that drawn out and just not that particularly good. Because if you do the longer it goes on, the kind of, I don't want to say the worse it gets, because there are stuff that does hold your attention, but it's just, everything is just so long these days.
How long was Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Only a couple of hours.
No, it was a little longer. It's like 2 hour 20, 2 hour 30. But I mean, it's a one shot deal. You're in and out.
Yeah.
We're talking about a show where every damn episode is an hour to an hour 20. And now you're going, and you got what was there? 7 episodes, 8 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
7. I think
it's a commitment. And then if you have multiple seasons, because everybody's telling you got to watch this, it gets really you got to pick and choose anymore. Especially when like George and I were doing all these edits and these videos in our spare time. We have day jobs. It's just like we'll do the best we can, guys.
Think about us, Hollywood. Think about us.
That's right.
Okay, people.
If we could make this full time, I would have more time to watch this shit.
Yeah, Hollywood. If you would dump $100,000 on this channel,
damn right. Yeah.
We'd talk about your stupid pedophilic Satan worshiping shit all day.
Yep, that'll get them sending the check.
Oh, whoops, we're still froze, aren't we?
Nope. You were saying that about the Satan pedophilic worshiping shit like Snow White and Bambi.
Harvey Weinstein is more what I had in mind.
Disney.
What was I going to say? Right, so let's move on then to another Netflix special which has come out, which may get us into trouble.
Before we move on, I mean, what do you guys give Stranger Things so far? Out of 5? Out of 5 stars. Give it a score.
3.5. 4 at a push.
Sean?
I'd give it 4.
So
far, that's without the rat not knowing how it ends. But so far, I'd give it a 4.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.
I'd give Nancy 1.
I'll give it a 4 as well. I think it while it did drag, it never completely lost my interest, and most of it was pretty compelling. So
yeah,
I agree with that assessment completely.
Yeah. I was happy to sort of get to the end of it. So yeah,
I did not once reach for my phone or
It definitely stuck the ending. It stuck the landing.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And also on Netflix this week is the very gentle comedy of Ricky Gervais, which, like the Dave Chappelle, I haven't seen the Dave Chappelle special.
Chappelle, at least get his name right.
Chappelle
is how he himself pronounces it. I'm just
But
saying.
I speak English, and so I don't understand
but
what
he's
black Americans
so
say.
he likes to French it up.
Black Americans also say faux shizzle, so I don't know what that means. So,
Well, listen, not Georg Lucas.
Heyo.
That sir was very good, very good.
That was a 10 out of 10.
That was a chef kiss of a joke. Well done. So yeah, Ricky Gervais. I did give it a go. I must admit, I'm not a fan of Ricky Gervais. The British Office.
Because
I kind
he
of can't.
says it's because he makes fun of your transgender brethren, right?
No, says the guy who was wearing those glasses earlier.
Those were very cool in the 80s, George. You would know that if you weren't already 100 years old.
It was very cool in the 80s.
For about 2 weeks, it was very cool. And we moved on to something else.
Yeah, that's right. That was a good summer.
Jealousy is such an ugly emotion.
But I'm not a massive fan of him, but I did watch it, and I did find myself laughing a lot at what he was saying. Because he doesn't hold back, does he?
No.
He's very funny.
I mean, I think it's all summed up. I think the best line in the whole thing, not the funniest, but the best line in the whole thing is like, he says, people tell me you should treat transgender people equally. He says, yes, I do. That's why I bring them into the jokes.
Yeah.
I love that line. It's like, yes, all of you get, because you're all equal in my eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the biggest compliment you could give to anybody is saying, I don't think you're less than or different because I do joke about you. And that's what people don't get. And he understands that to a T. And I really admire and respect that point of view.
The problem he don't understand is they don't actually want to be equal. They want to be a separate class.
He knows.
Yeah. I know that, but he can't. That's where he can't go any further.
And not all of them. There's a ton out there that'd be like, leave me the hell out of it. I just want to put on my dress and just live my life. And this is just fine for me. And it's been fine for me until you guys started yelling about it on Twitter.
And leave it, And...
Yeah, many don't want to be involved in all this nonsense, and a lot of them don't agree with it. I mean, say that the transgender, it's just like saying all the gays speak as one, or all the lesbian, or men, or women, or people of color, black.
We don't talk about women.
Isn't it? Didn't Mo Sislak say something like, "I don't want to make an unfair generalization, but old people are all rubbish at everything."
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a unique point of view. That's the point, right? We got to deal with people. I deal with Sean. I deal with George. I deal with this person and that person. I don't deal with groups. And that's the problem right now.
It's not just that, but it's also these particular groups. It's like the whole thing with Warner Brothers cancelling Speedy Gonzalez because of complaints. And Mexicans going, why did you cancel him? And it's like, well, because you were all offended. And they were like, no, we weren't. We love Speedy, But it was kind of these people who were getting offended on behalf of other people. Like you say, there are people out there who are trans and stuff who just want to live their lives. That's all they want. They want a quiet life. They want a quiet job and everything else.
But they want all this attention.
Yeah, there are people out there who are like, no, you should be fighting for your rights. Look at this person, everybody. And they're like, no, I don't want it. And that's exactly what the problem is these people who are fighting these campaigns to help these minorities and everything else. They're not even like one themselves. They just think they're helping people out. It's kind of like helping an old granny across the street when she doesn't want to cross the street,
Well, I mean, think of it this way. I mean, how many trans people before all this nonsense started were living their lives and maybe, they would get like, oh, that's a little weird, but mostly people would talk to them and they would get to know them. And it was just kind of a, hey, sometimes they might make a mention of it, but that was about it. And now nobody will talk to them because everybody's too scared that they're going to freak out and they can't live their lives anymore like they used to because everybody's too scared that they might be offended and freak out. And it's like, I'm not one of them. I just want to talk. And they're like, and everybody's now treating you. You almost become a pariah because everybody's so scared of you.
And you're you're talking
guys.
And sort of saying, and so yesterday he or she went out to her or his car, and you're kind of just trying to correct yourself. Yeah, because you and like you say, it's kind of an awful situation that we are now living in. That, like you say, people are just scared to say anything.
Well, the thing that made it worse is just normal people that like make no effort whatsoever to even look like the opposite gender, and they're like, "Oh, just call me she, her, and look like me and act like me." It means like, stop. You're not doing anybody any favors.
So Gervais called them all out, but he also, I mean, he didn't go only after transgender. He went after, all the people complaining about how he just went after nothing but transgender. It's like, did you listen to the rest of it? He went after a lot of people. You don't care about that.
They just watched that 30-second clip.
No, because they're phonies. They're phonies.
This is the same people who complained about the video nasties in the 80s. Well, have you seen any of them? Well, no, but I heard. Right, you can't sit there and judge on what you've heard. If you're going to make an effort to watch it, then you can judge it. But you can't just, I heard so and so and so. Really, funny enough, coming back to Stranger Things, it was kind of interesting how they tied the whole Dungeons and Dragons into devil worship and everything else. And then obviously because you've got this demon, for want of a better word, who's killing people in a way that could be deemed Satan worship, he jumped on that bandwagon, and sort of everybody was then up in arms and
I mean, that was a real thing that happened at the time, in the
yeah
I remember. So silly.
They even made a movie about how it would. I think Tom Hanks,
man.
Yeah,
one of his finest roles.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
It's called
Cecil did a thing on it.
God, I'll have to find
a whole big thing.
I've seen it. It's fantastic.
Tom Hanks gets addicted to playing Dungeons and Dragons and it's like the reefer
mazes
madness.
And monsters.
Yeah, it's like the reefer madness of D&D.
I will put that on the list. That sounds interesting.
Because he's a mentally unstable kid, so he doesn't know the difference between real life and fantasy. So it wouldn't have mattered.
Okay.
But it became and he's just hammy. It's as silly a movie as you'll ever see, and it's beautiful.
I really want to see it now.
Yeah,
that sounds great. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
It's one of those that's, getting back to that trans thing, it made me think of something I saw very funny. It was a screenshot of a Twitter comment to Elliot Page. And something happened in the news, and Elliot was going on about, trying to pray, and somebody said, "Shut up! You're just another straight white male, Elliot." And it was like,
it's kind of.
You didn't see that one coming, did you, Elliot?
Well,
did you really want to trans into the enemy?
Yeah.
I mean, trans used to be like, I'm male, I would like to be female, and I want to look female and all that, and you call me, and then people start calling you her because that's what you look like and you've put effort into it. I mean, at times I would be mistaken. I wouldn't, because they put effort into it. But then I see one that says, my pronouns are paint and painted. It's like, fuck off.
I don't even know what that means.
I'm not kidding. That's not made up bullshit. That's an actual, somebody want paint. And it's like, this is just people wanting attention now.
Yeah.
It's not real. This is not serious people.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I say that these poor people that just want to live their lives the way they want to live them have now got to put up with these other idiots who are just making it 10 times worse in every respect.
Yes, Eggy, I agree, but we can't actually say that now, can we? So be careful. George is on the BBC now.
Yeah.
We're big time.
Oh yeah, totally. I was going to, it depends how the radio show goes tomorrow, but I was going to be wearing sunglasses and a Cecil B. DeMille hat and sort of have a long
cigarette holder.
No, you're going to have to submit questions to my agent before I can answer anything. There's 10 days.
Do you guys remember there was an old South Park episode that dealt with Queer Eye from the straight guy, where all of South Park guys were all acting, swishy because they were all getting metrosexual. And
I think I saw that one.
And Mr. Garrison, who at that time was gay, he's changed all kinds of things over the course of the show. But at that time he was gay, and he was like telling the queer guys, like, what are you doing here? You're making straight guys look gay. It's like, we have our own lifestyle. That's what makes it special. That's what makes us, we have our own way of doing things, and we have, and it's unique, and it's not something that you just splash all over everything, because it takes away the uniqueness of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was an interesting point that he made. It's like, trying to normalize everything gay takes away the uniqueness and the specialness of being gay. There are fads fashions and things that get pushed because of the gay community, if you want to call it that, and you shouldn't be changing or trying to blanket that all over everything, because then if everyone's special, no one is, as they say. Incredible.
I don't want to rush this, but I'm finding it very hard not to make jokes that get us canceled. Can we move on to other parts of the special that are less
Control
dangerous
yourself,
for me?
sir.
One thing that I did think was quite a profound statement that he made is he sort of said that they're pushing all these minorities, and he said, I'm a white male multimillionaire,
yeah.
And I'm in a minority, so when is it my time?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is these people do live in a minority, and that's fine. That I saw something on the BBC website the other day, and it was saying about how a village in the middle of Wales was predominantly white, and it's kind of, yeah, because all the people who live there for the last 1,000 years have all been white.
Yeah.
If they're in a minority, that's fine, and we do, they've always been inclusive and everything else, but it's the fact that these people are sort of saying, right, this minority of just very small people, they should be put to the forefront and highlighted, and it's kind of, but that's not treating them normal, that's putting them on a pedestal, and it's only literally a few of them.
White people are a minority compared to the rest of the world's population.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's
guys,
so weird that
everybody's a minority in one way or another. How many 40 to 50-year-old do live streams every single Sunday about movies? Probably a pretty small number compared to the rest of the nation. I don't care how many people on YouTube. I mean, you can find a way to be a minority about anything and then say I'm oppressed or something. It's just,
or the fact that we've all got penises over 20 inches long, 3 guys. How many others could there be?
Sure. Well, yeah, if I fold it in half, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, totally.
I couldn't help it. I'm sorry.
I was talking about folding it into quarters. I guess
sure
you
were. Man, I came up with it first.
Okay, so what other stuff did he talk about that we can talk about?
The pedophile.
Not much.
I
thought Chappelle, his Sticks and Stone was far. Shut up. It was far better than his closer one. His closer one felt like a defense, stop being mad at me and let me tell you why you shouldn't be. It wasn't as funny, it wasn't.
Chappelle always comes off as an activist to me, even though sometimes I do laugh and I don't hate him or anything like that. But sometimes some of his specials, I was like, this seems so much like activism more than comedy. I don't get that from Gervais. Gervais goes in there.
Gervais just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's so funny. I can't believe you're not a fan of him, George, because he's so damn funny.
I became he does come across abrasive in some of his movies and his shows. I know that's on purpose. I'm not talking about his comedy specials. I'm just talking about the way he plays. It's too much. It's too unlikable. And that's, I can understand where George is coming from, but I became a huge fan of him when I saw him just basically give a middle finger to people's faces in the Golden Globe ceremonies. I mean, he's looking at them and he's telling them off and making jokes that are just hitting, and they're right there in the room looking at him. That's gutsy. That's ballsy. And that's what made me a huge fan of his.
I become a fan of his when I watched The Invention of Lying, and I was like, that is so funny.
He's all right now. I do like that. Creating religion.
No, well, again, that's kind of one of the things that I don't like him for as well. That over here, every time you kind of see him, there's a program over here called Room 101, and it started out quite an interesting. But basically, it's kind of things that you hate about something or other you can put in Room 101. And one of the celebrities that was on there once said that they would put celebrity preaching into Room 101, and with Ricky Gervais, kind of every time you see him over here, he's like with Richard Dawkins or somebody saying about how there's no God, and the whole invention of lying to me was just another, oh god, here we go again.
I mean the atheism, doesn't bother me, but I get bored with it. But in that movie, that's the first time I saw him in anything, and all the other parts to it were funny, like just.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an atheist too, and I just find him a little abrasive about the whole thing sometimes. Yeah. But he's also, the more like in his stand-ups, he's his most likable because he sometimes just starts laughing. He's like, I can't believe I'm doing this joke, and you kind of he humanizes himself more, and he doesn't do that in the scripted stuff, which he just keeps up the abrasive, unlikable asshole shtick, which I could see where George is coming from. But in his comedies,
I get it.
Flat out awesome.
His comedy specials, though, I think you get more.
They're great. Yeah.
real.
Like I say, the original Office was a huge success over here, and I mean everybody did love it, and I loved it when it first came out. But after a while, I know it sounds stupid, but I mean we started watching the American one, which
Carell improved on Gervais's shtick.
Yeah, because Michael Scott was ultimately. He was stupid and he was ignorant and he was selfish and stuff, but you liked him. Whereas David Brent, I just never, David Brent was
vicious and Scott was just dumb.
Yeah,
I like the limey version better.
No, so it's it just I don't know. If I watch The Office again, I'd much prefer to watch the American one than the British one again. I haven't seen the British one for years.
I don't know. I like him. I like him about anything he's been in. Seemed like there was something. HBO started showing some of his comedy specials not long after I saw that Invention of Lying, and then I was like, oh, this guy's fucking hilarious. And then of course that Golden Globe thing's really sealed the deal. That
is phenomenal. And he's done it multiple times, and he's just like, I don't give a crap.
I do like the fact when he says about hosting the Oscars, when what's his name, Kevin Hart was supposed to be hosting the Oscars, and it was like his dream that had finally come true. But then somebody dug up a tweet from like 10 years ago, and so he got cancelled. And he said, "Then they got me in." Me, over dodgy tweets and stuff.
He said about 10-year-old tweets. He's like, women don't have penises. He's like, 10 years ago, who would have thought that would be controversial?
Oh man, I would pay good money to see Gervais actually host the Oscars. That would be.
Oh God, yeah. I would literally donate to get to see that.
I just don't see that happening.
No, they never allow that. No,
they won't, and that's too bad because it's needed.
You say that though, but it seems like, I mean, with this whole slap thing that went on last time and everything else and stuff that went on before, and I think wasn't it Moonlight who got not Moonlight, La La Land got the wrong Oscar?
Yeah.
Whether they actually, they think to themselves, do you know what? Stuff this, get Gervais in. That will get people watching.
It would be. It's not the host they want. It's the host they deserve.
Yeah. I want him to be the guy that speaks at my funeral. That's how much.
He's phenomenal in his stand-ups and yeah. So
I love the story he told about his friend's grandmother's ashes going back at his face. He's like, "Oh, it was bitter." He's like, "Oh, that was her clit."
Rick.
You know why?
And then they just start laughing.
You know why I laughed at that? Because years ago my best friend's grandfather died. And we went to the church service. He's Catholic, so there was this whole big thing, and we're in there, and my friend's looking over. I was like, "Man, what's that smell? It smells like somebody died in here," and and he laughed his ass off at that.
I never not laugh at cremation jokes, like Big Lebowski when they dumped him off and the wind blew him into. He's got Donnie all over him.
The best part is he said he's standing there like that.
He just doesn't even freaking move.
Yeah.
There was another one that did that. The one with Dennis Leary, Rescue Me, I think, where their bud had died, and the guy they'd had the windows open in the car. The guy wanted to peek at it. He's like, "Don't peek at it. That's just disrespectful." He peeked at it, and the windows were open, and the wind grabbed it, and the whole windshield just turns gray.
Speaking along the lines of that, we had an article up recently about how Disney have now bought the rights to Stan Lee, and I saw somebody had put a meme up. Somebody had put a meme up, sort of saying, Disney have now bought the rights to Stan Lee, and underneath they posted a picture of Weekend at Bernie's.
That sounds like
hey, come on, Stan. Let's go and invent another character. Oh, Spider-Man's great.
Honestly, I mean, it's like, well, you kind of got to think about what the people would have wanted. Like when they did Fred Astaire selling vacuum cleaners, that was a little bizarre. But Stan Lee, I think, would be very happy to know that his likeness was going to continue on doing cameos until forever. I think he'd love that.
Dude was a showman. Have you guys heard the story that Ethan Van Sciver tells about when he met Stan Lee while they were both signing stuff at a comic? Yeah, Sciver's talking about it and said he's like, "Wow, Stanley's like, you're really good with your fans," and he swears because he tells the story all the time. He said Stanley goes, "My fans, line them against the wall and give me a Tommy gun." He said this. He said he didn't mean it like mean spirit or nothing, but he was just...
Not so much when he was older, but I mean, whenever I saw Stan Lee in the older pictures and everything, I was like, this guy just looks like a used car salesman. I can't believe he's made the greatest. He comes across and looked like a used car salesman or a guy who produced porn.
He had the slick back hair and the little mustache for years.
There's that joke where in Iron Man 2, isn't it? That Tony Stark sees, it says, "Hey, Hoff," and then he turns around and it is actually Stan.
Yeah.
His best cameo was as the DJ at the strip bar in, what was it, Deadpool? Yeah. You can't buy love, but you can rent it for 3 minutes or so. That was his...
I mean, he was really cute when he got older, It was fun to put him in the camp. But it is mid-years, man. I was like, that could look like the sleaziest son of a bitch I've ever seen in my life. And I don't think he was. I mean, I haven't heard anything untoward about him or anything. Just the look, he was weird.
I had to look him up the other day for some reason. I forget what it was. It was for an article or something. And going through his life, he went through loads of issues of suing and counter-suing and all sorts of stuff with people. And it was kind of a shame.
Still going on with the estate, I guess.
And it was really a shame. Whenever I've seen him, he's always just seemed like just a nice guy,
because he was there to service the fans, man. That's one thing you can't take that away from him. People can make all kinds of claims about maybe he was a secret prick or he ripped off Kirby or who knows what, but man, he was always there. I think there towards the end before he died, they were even taking blood and mixing it in ink and selling that as like his autograph with his actual blood in it. Was his granddaughter, niece, or something like that.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was pretty scandalous at the time. He was too old and demented.
I mean, Stan was a showman, and he loved the camera, and he loved to talk about his stuff. And Kirby and the others, Ditko especially, they just wanted to retreat. They didn't want to be in the limelight. And so it kind of came out like Stan created all this stuff, and then there was a backlash. No, Kirby did it all, or Ditko did it all, and he was just, I'm pretty sure the truth is somewhere between. It sounds like a much more collaborative effort, and I don't think it's...
Sure it was, yeah.
Funny enough, that's one of the things that, coming back to Ricky Gervais, that's one of the things I found with him, that it was him and Steve Merchant who created The Office. And I remember there was I had a DVD, and on one of the extras of the DVDs, it had Ricky and Steve Merchant working. Merchant was sat at a computer typing away, and Ricky had got one of the T lads and literally taped his head up. and so this kid's... But I looked at it and I thought to myself, again, it's kind of... all this work has gone into this script, which looked like it would mostly been done by Steve Merchant, but it was kind of Ricky Gervais who was the front man of The Office that took all the glory for it. And that's just the impression I got. And it's
Ricky Gervais wrote his comedy special. Now, you think the man that performed that isn't capable of writing something like The Office?
Did he write it, though? Did he get help?
Yeah, well, no. It's in the credits, it said it was him. It didn't say Ricky Gervais and Joe Blow.
Yeah, but is he just ripping somebody off?
I think it's
Why
all
are you
so much
dead
more.
Set to hate this guy?
I'm just not a fan of him. That's all it is.
Clearly,
I'm pretty sure it's a lot more
exploits...
collaborative when it's all said and done. I don't think one guy writes it and everybody follows it like a Bible. I think things change.
You saw a snippet of a minute of a day. What do you're going to base your assumption on something that they clearly did?
I read an article on Facebook and I watched 2 YouTube videos, so I think I'm an expert.
My grandmother
I think he's got you there,
me an email with all this information in it and said if I didn't read it and forward it, I would be dead by Tuesday at noon.
I don't know. Like I say, I think he exploited Cole Pilkington and Warwick Davis as well. The two of them. Cole Pilkington. I don't know if you guys have heard of Cole Pilkington.
No.
Oh, he used to be the producer for Ricky Gervais and Steve Merchant's TV radio show back in the early days, and he's kind of like a lovable idiot. And some people think he's a character, but he's not. He's just a weird thinking guy. He will always sort of think completely outside the box about things. And there was a couple of series on it, and it just seemed like Ricky was just exploiting an idiot friend. And it's, usually I'm for that, but it just kind of like...
What do you think we're doing with you in here?
What?
I'm pretty sure I'm the one getting exploited on all this.
That's probably true. Don't think about it too hard.
Yeah.
I don't. I would be.
Next week we just have Yoda's legs swinging. Okay.
Oh, thank God it's over.
Is there anything else that we're going to talk about?
Yeah, we can. There's two things. First, I want to point out that this week, Extreme Prejudice got a Blu-ray special edition release from Arrow Video. Great movie, 5 out of 5 star. Great action movie from the 80s. And two, if you guys want to, we could talk about the 25 best films of the 80s from Outpost contributor.
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, well, never mind then, since you're completely unprepared and you don't even read the website that you work at.
If I didn't write it, I don't read it. What am I going to read for stuff from you guys?
Reading is gay.
No, I mean, what I was going to mention, if you wanted to talk about it, Sean, is just, I don't know, a little horror movie coming out this week, or Dash Cam.
I do want to talk about that, George. It's funny that you brought that up.
So thanks for watching the stream, guys. I'll see you later.
Wait. Because basically, we've got, the movie is coming out on this Friday, June 3rd. We will be putting up this week an interview that Sean and myself did with the star of the movie, Annie Hurd, and also the chat that we've had about.
Not Hurd.
Hardy. Oh, God, dear.
Stop thinking about Amber Heard. It's Annie Hardy.
I'm sorry. It's just because
so professional. Be sure when the BBC is interviewing them.
Somebody had shit in the bed is all it was. It's still on my mind.
You know, both of these things actually do involve shitting in the wrong place. You know, you have that moment in Dash Cam. You have Amber Bird shit in the bed. I have to actually watch the guy clean it up in Dash Cam. I'm just saying, I could see where your mind went there, George.
Yeah, it's easy to.
Annie Hardy, I do apologize. But yeah, we've got the interview with her, and she was fantastic to talk to. She was really, really interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see what the reaction of the audience is when the movie comes out. Because I think if you're a horror fan, you're really going to love it. If you're a normie, you're probably going to think it's crap and just the grass for 45 minutes.
Have you guys seen Dinner in America yet?
I have.
Let's talk about that a little.
I have not seen it yet. It's on my list, so I want to see it. I want to watch it.
I really want. That was gonna be what I suggested we talk about this week.
But then I had like 17 hours of Stranger Things to get through, and
I know
it's just the opening credits.
Yeah, no shit. And then even with skip intro, it still took a while.
Yes, I did watch Dinner in America, and it was quite an incredible piece of work.
It's a good movie, isn't it?
Do you know what? I was quite blown away at how deep and on how many levels it works, of how it is all based around dinner. Sort of all the main things come off the main dinner, but also the fact of how you deal with bullies and how you live your own life, and nobody should be called names by anybody else, and how punk rock can really. There were so many levels to that movie. It was brilliant.
It's all hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. I need to watch it.
Very earnest movie. I kept hearing people compare it to, it's Napoleon Dynamite. No, it's not.
No, the only reason it's similar to Napoleon Dynamite is some of the photography is very similar. There are sort of quite wide shots of one person sat at a bus stop and that kind of thing, and so on that respect it looked similar to Napoleon Dynamite, but and some of the comedy I think was mildly like it, but I wouldn't say it was like Napoleon Dynamite. I wouldn't say.
A great movie.
Yeah, it's incredibly well made.
It is going to go on my best of the year list for sure. Not number one, but it's going to be in the top 3.
It's going to go up there. Yeah, I'd say it's going to go up there. And if we do a top 5, I think it will probably be in a top 5. It was so well made.
Better than Everything Everywhere?
Yes.
No.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
We have a split decision.
It's a better movie. It's a better movie with a. I mean, it's got the same kind of not the same message, but it's got the same kind of, the point of the movie is something deeper than just some throwaway comedy or action movie or sci-fi in the case of
Marvel.
It's got a real message in it, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
To be fair, I think I can relate to Dinner in America more than I could to Everything Everywhere All at Once. The whole message of
racist.
Live your life the way you of what?
Racist. You just couldn't relate to the Asians.
Well, yeah. Excuse me. I had a Chinese on Friday. I had a Chinese on Friday, so I'm totally like racist. A Chinese takeaway. But no, I can relate to it more because it was kind of more about, how you live your life and everything else. The main character guy, I forget his name now. He was just, you kind of hate him but love him for what he did.
Yeah.
He's a complete and utter arsehole, but at the same time, he completely kind of frees almost everyone he comes in contact with.
Yeah, he's a lovable scoundrel for sure.
Yeah. It was really good.
It reminds me of another movie that you guys should check out called Hesher that is very similar in sort of premise. This guy, very much like the punker in the one we're talking about, he comes to this family that recently had lost the mother, and he befriends this little kid, the boy. Have you guys seen it? It stars Natalie Portman and Rainn Wilson and what's the dude's name that played Robin in The Dark Knight Rises and all that?
Gordon Joseph Levitt.
Joseph Levitt plays Hesher, and you if you liked Dinner in America, you will like Hesher.
Okay, well, I'll put it on the list.
I would argue that Dinner in America pairs very well with Dashcam too. They both have sort of the same punk sensibility, in my opinion.
The one I've been bouncing in and out of is Bosch, and I think I've talked about it a few times, but I'm really liking the show. It's on Prime, and it's I don't know, it's one of the better cop shows I've seen because it tends to be a little bit more understated. Even though some big things happened, it has a lot of mundane details in it, but I like that kind of thing, at least the way they do it. And I really like Titus Welliver in the role.
Yeah, he's one of those actors that you see and you think, yeah, fair play. This is good. This is going to be all right.
Yeah. And so if it's something you want to watch that isn't, you could kind of come in and out of it. It's not like, there are season-long arcs, but it's not as difficult as like coming in and out of some of these other shows that we've talked about that are like a Game of Thrones or something. I mean, you really need to binge. Even Stranger Things, I really do think you kind of need to binge it because there's so much happening.
You can't pick up a random episode and watch it.
And so, but with this one, I wouldn't say you could pick up a random episode because there are season-long arcs that are working towards a conclusion of a particular case that he's working on. But there's like a lot of interpersonal stuff, and it, I don't know, it just all feels very human and more real to me. People don't seem like they're, of course, you do have some little Hollywood script writing kind of stuff going on here and there for dramatic purposes, but a lot of it feels a lot more mundane, and I find that more interesting the way they do it. Not every season's been perfect. I'd say season 2 was okay, but the rest of them have been pretty good. And that there's a lot with the relationship with his daughter and his ex-wife and how those things go, and it's building up towards this new Bosch legacy. But I mean, if they continue on the same way, even though now he's a private eye and his daughter is joining the force, if they're going the same way they're going now, I don't foresee it being very woke. Although they do address that they have to deal with all the woke bullshit, which is kind of interesting. It's like, we're going to have people protesting if we don't get this shit worked out. And, they have, and these are like, it's dealt with as a real problem that they have to deal with rather than a comment on whether or not this person's right or that person's right. If you got a bunch of people protesting your police precinct, you got to move them. Where are you going to move them? And where's it going to be safe? Where they're going to have their First Amendment? They're not making a comment whether they agree with them or not. It's just the logistics of dealing with a big giant protest that could get out of hand and violent if you don't, tamp it down and give them what they want without, letting them go hog wild. And those, because you don't want, because they talk about they don't want the police on the news bashing heads. It's no good for them,
anymore.
It's not. It's like. This police, they don't want this kind of stuff. And then you have other police guys that are maybe getting a little too old and whether they make mistakes. And it's not like they made a mistake, but then people are using that as an excuse to get them retired. There's a lot of those kinds of things that go on. And you could see all this really happening because none of it is cut and dried. So I really enjoyed the show. It's a nice a nice, something that isn't
Cop
giant or
drama.
epic or must watch.
Yeah.
Sounds like a very good time for a normie.
I think you'd like it, Shaw. That's the guy. I really think you would.
I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about
Do you know what? I've got to bring up the fact that myself and Sean have been talking about the extreme cinema and like Human Centipede and Cannibal Ferox and everything else. And when it came up to Stranger Things, Sean was like, "Oh, Stranger Things, I love that." Oh,
I did because of the reason I like it so much is because it's set in the 80s. If it was set in present day, I probably would not care about it at all.
I gotta tell you, Sean, I'm getting sick to death of the. I mean, I grew up in the '80s. The '80s is my decade, but it's really getting to the point. It's like, how can I miss you if you won't go away?
I can't get enough. I want to just, if I could like delusion myself into believing that I was still in the '80s, I'd do it. I'm not even joking.
Turn off your phone.
No, I was going to say, isn't there's a Christopher Reeve film called Somewhere in Time where he does that, doesn't he? He convinces his own mind.
Why do you have to look at the penny? Why? Why do you have to look at the penny?
Goodness me, that's a random film. Wait
a minute. Yoda, please try to watch that Dinner in America we can all three talk about it next week because it's a great movie. You're going to like it.
But yeah, it is good.
Hopefully Eggy will watch it.
Do I get my money back if I don't? Sean, I'm going to take it.
If you watch it on the website, I'll send you a link to you. Absolutely, I will double the money you spend.
All right. I'll send you a bill. My time is valuable, buddy.
Just to mention also, let's talk about me. Because basically, if you go to the BBC website...
Retard, gay...
And on the BBC website at the moment, I've been featured on there because the BBC do a program called Crime Watch, and
it's about pedophiles.
And what you did was a crime against good taste or use of time, something. I don't know. We'll figure out the statute.
Use of time, definitely. But yeah, basically, it was about my 1,000 movies. And if you go to the YouTube channel, I've just made a video which I published about it. And I still don't know whether it's incredibly awesome or unbelievably sad. But yeah, last year I watched one.
There's no need to choose. It's both a dessert topping and a floor wax.
That's a good one. But yeah, and so tomorrow I've got an interview on the local BBC radio. I'm hoping it goes like viral and it gets really gets taken off. And I could do like Jay Leno or Letterman or something.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that happening.
Sure. Aren't
they are both still alive, aren't they? I could meet James Corden because he's English. So
Letterman turned into a full-fledged bum hermit.
My favorite quote about him was from Zach Galifianakis in Between Two Ferns when he says, "I'd like to thank Meth. I'd like Meth Santa has joined us."
Whatever happened to him, by the way? Zach
Galifianakis.
Yeah, it's like he was in all those.
He's like Shia LaBeouf. He just, he was a thing, and he disappeared.
Gone, yeah.
Or what is it? Sam Worthington, the guy in Avatar.
Yeah.
Tried to make him a thing, but he didn't really take.
I mean, Zach, I do find quite funny. The In Between Two Ferns is some of their interviews are quite good, and then what's also very funny as well is the outtakes. If you find them on YouTube, they are proper funny because he's like having a go at like Brie Larson, and he says to her, "I know you're a very personal and private person, so this is a two-part question." But
my wife is at the window trying to get my attention, but she's standing behind the pane that has reflection. I can't see her face at all. She's making all kinds of faces and gestures. I have no idea what the hell she's doing.
Woman moment.
She's got her luggage packed or something and walking out. I don't know.
Oh, don't tease me, George.
Stupid woman. We're not going on holiday.
Don't tease me.
Don't give me hope. Don't give me
hope. I'm like Hawkeye. Don't give me hope.
And Zach Galifianakis says to Brie Larson, he says, "I know you're a very personal and closed-off person, but when did you start your period?" But then she cracks up in the outtakes and stuff, and it is my other favourite one that he says he had Benedict Cumberbatch on, and he said, "Oh, do you use your British accent to hide the fact you're not a very good actor?" Stuff like that. And like I say, some of the jokes he comes out with they are funny. So I do like that In Between Two Ferns.
He thinks he's the American Ricky Gervais.
Is he?
I said he thinks that. I wouldn't call him that. I'm just saying maybe he thinks that's his shtick.
Well, guys, I am going to have to wrap it up here.
Send GoFundMe to fund Yoda's divorce.
Yeah, no kidding.
Lawyer will be enclosed at the bottom of the page. You can link and donate.
At any moment in your life, you could end up like Yoda.
Yeah.
So these 3 channels.
So thank you very much for watching. This is lastmovieoutpost.com. We are the Cool News Now. We're your amazing news source for streaming news, movie news, and everything in between. You can reach us at contact us at lastmovieoutpost.com. You can also hit us on Twitter at @movieoutpost, and we do have a Facebook page /lastmovieoutpost. Of course, you could go to lastmovieoutpost.com and find all the links to all our social media. I am at Drunken Yoda 1. He is at George Lucas 1. And Sean is Get Off My Lawn. Thank you very much for watching. George, got any final words?
Keep an eye on the site this week because it's going to be a good one. So, yeah, make sure you check out lastmovieoutpost.com.
Excellent. Sean?
Follow mine and George's ongoing discussion of controversial movies. That is one coming up this week. Are you putting one up this week?
Yes, I forget what it is. It's a Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh, that'll be a good one. So, yeah, on this YouTube channel.
And, of course, Eggy and I have part 2 of our Picard therapy session. So you can watch that, and we finish up the show Picard and dive a little bit into Strange New Worlds and answer your comments since we had so many of them. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the engagement. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. I know everybody says smash that like button. I say crush it, see it driven before you, and hear the lamentations of the dislike button. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you on the next stream.